Welcome to Childhelp's Dare to Care podcast, where every story of struggle transforms into a beacon of hope. Together, we'll uncover the courage to rise above our challenges and rediscover joy and resilience. Let's dare to care.
Due to the sensitive nature of the content, viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Hi, everyone. I'm Carrie Pena, and this is the Dare to Care Survivor Series podcast. We are broadcasting today from the Center for Positive Media. I'm joined in studio by my co-host, Michael Maduro, the Chief of Staff from Childhelp. And our guest today is Malaun Rice. Malaun, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Your story is beyond incredible. I can't wait to share this with our viewers and listeners because you are a truly inspirational woman. We're going to talk a little bit about all you've gone through.
Okay.
But we like to begin on a positive note and talking about some of the lessons that you've learned. Mm-hmm. And one of those lessons for you is how you build back trust when some really, really horrible things have happened to you. What do you think for you was a factor in learning how to trust again?
Good question. I would have to say that I learned that everybody makes decisions. You know, some people are in the light, some people are in the dark, but we make decisions every single day. And so basically, I rely on God 100%, knowing that He would never do anything to hurt me. He has my best interest in heart, and also my tribe, my friends, my family. They've, nobody's perfect, but, things happen. But I know innately in my heart that they won't do anything to hurt me. Mm. And so building up my trust included vulnerability, learning how to be vulnerable like I'm doing right now.
Yes.
Telling my story and telling my story in front of hundreds of people before and being a life coach, and helping people that are my clients, and being vulnerable and telling them my story and creating safe spaces, which someone created a safe space for me because I actually went through therapy and I also had a life coach at the same time. So it was like at the same time. But I was really desperate to be free of all the feelings that I had, all the negative feelings.
Yeah, all the trauma.
Yeah, so
you have walked through a lot of trauma. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that's really important to us on this show is, only to have people go as far as they want to go, only to say the things they want to say. So, I just want to open up with you by whatever is your safe comfort zone in telling your story, because your story is rough. Can you take us back?
Yeah, it doesn't bother me anymore,
okay.
But I want to help other people. So basically, I'm from Chicago, so I was 10 years old when I was sexually assaulted by a 39-year-old man. And basically, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents because my parents worked a lot. So I was with my grandmother that day. And the one thing she always told me is, don't go out the yard. I need to see you. And what did I do that day? I went out the yard because I was chasing a kitten. It was a little kitten, and my grandmother had two big German Shepherds. In my mind, I'm like, oh, if they see you, you're gone. Mm-hmm. So I was trying to save it, and it was fast. So it went from my grandmother's yard to the next neighbor's yard to the third yard down, which is where the person who sexually assaulted me was. The thing about it is I was familiar with him because I've seen him before, and he was the neighbor's son. And I've seen him have conversations like, passing by, having small conversations with my uncle. So it's not like I'd never seen him before. So that's why I was comfortable like, hey, can you hand me the cat? I didn't go into the yard. I was just like, can you just pass the cat to me, right? And so he looked at me. He's like, sure. He picked the cat up. He said, well, come in the yard to get it. I didn't think anything. I was focused on the kitten. I'm like, I gotta see the cat. So I went into the yard. And when I got about a good 2 or 3 feet from him, I saw the lights in his eyes go out. And I know that sounds crazy as a 10-year-old, but kids got instincts. We can feel the same thing that adults feel, but it was too late. I tried to turn around. I was like, you know what, that's okay. I tried to turn around. It was too late. He grabbed me, put his hand around my mouth, and dragged me into a dark basement. It was in the middle of the day, too. So I just remember standing in the corner of this room, and it was a TV on. The room was dark. And I was just begging for hours, like to let me go. I was crying because I didn't feel safe anymore because you took me against my will, one. And why are we in this dark basement in a room with the door locked? And he was like standing opposite of the corner that I was standing in. So basically what he said to me is, I will let you go if you take off your shorts and your underwear. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I don't know you. What do you mean? You know, and I felt afraid. I don't even think afraid is a word, the strongest word that I could say that I felt. So eventually I did it, and then he definitely penetrated me. And at that time as a child, I just died internally, you know. It's like all trust, like everything as a child that a child knows, you know, I wasn't even at the state of time. I was just playing with Barbies. You know, if you think about a 10-year-old, or if you have a child, so you remember when she was 10.
Yeah.
So, you know, and you were 10 before, so you know where you were at that time. You were all about, you know, cartoons, cereal,
Yeah.
and Barbies. And so all of that died, literally. And so what I'm grateful for, and I know this is going to sound crazy to people, is the fact that he let me go. He could have killed me. He could have did a lot of things to me. He let me go. He walked me to the alley and just let me go. He didn't say anything to me. I saw I don't know how long I was in the basement. It was a very long time, so I'm assuming hours. You know, and so when I got to the end of the alley, I saw my uncle, and I told him immediately, you know, what happened. And he was like, who? And so the next thing I know, I remember the police coming. They had a woman, thank God, come to me and ask me what happened. I told her, went to the hospital, told them, got to the police station, told them what happened, saw a judge, told them. So I kept telling the story over and over and over again. And thank God, that was in the 80s. So thank God now it's technology where you can tell your story one time, which is hard enough, right? And, you know, you can look at the tape again, and whoever else needs to hear the story, they can just go press play, right? So for me, I was silent. Like, I had to testify in front of this man and his family and my family and strangers I didn't know, you know, about what happened to me. So after that, he was convicted. He did go to jail. The police didn't find him. My family did. But I didn't know that until like 10 years ago when I was drinking with my dad. He just mentioned it. I don't know how we got to that. But I was like, really? So my uncles, my cousins, all the men in my family was like, I didn't know that because I was checked out. So I love that, you know. But for me, I went through a period of I don't even remember between the ages of 10 and 14. Like, I can see pictures. Like, my family will show me pictures, and I'm like, well, I remember that outfit. But I don't remember this event. I don't remember anything. And they were like, but you were there. I said, obviously, I'm in a picture. But I do know that people with trauma, they really forget certain periods of time. And for whatever reason, I don't remember a lot between that time. My parents did take me to a therapist because they wanted to get me help. And of course, this is their first time dealing with something like this. So they took me to a man, and I was like,
Yep.
I sat there the whole time. It was like, no. And that's all I was doing. And so the therapist was like, oh, well, she's doing well. And I'm like, no, I'm not. You're a man. And the last time I trusted a man, something bad happened to me. So with that being said, no, you didn't help. But I don't blame him. He's human. Right. I did for a long time, though. I was like, you didn't help me. But I realized as I went through my healing process, he didn't know. He thought that I was just, you know, handling it as a 10-year-old. I'm like, 10-year-olds handling that strong, you know. Going into my teenage life, angry, you know, and, you know, high school is hard enough. You're trying to figure out who your friends are. You're trying to figure out if this guy likes you or not. And then you're going through that underlying thing of, you know, I was sexually assaulted at 10 and I don't know how to feel about this, right? So all through high school, I was angry, just angry. And my parents didn't know what that was and what to do with it. I get into, you know, my young adult age is like 18, 20. I go away to college and everybody drinks, but I was drinking just a little. It was a vodka bottle that I did not like. Okay, right. So I knew all the happy hour specials. I knew everything, but that was my way of dealing with my anger and not feeling. You know, I understood that, you know, even today when I see people just get high all the time, you know, I don't judge anybody if you smoke marijuana. Okay, I'm not judging you. If you drink, I'm definitely not judging you because I still drink to today, but I understand my emotions and what I'm feeling when I'm drinking. So if we go to happy hour after here, yeah, we're just having fun. But if I feel some type of way, if something happened, I got to pull back.
Yep.
So during COVID, I stayed in Bevmo. I'm just going to tell you. I had to, with everybody else, the line was always to the back of the store. That was besides the grocery stores, Bevmo was full. But I started crashing. Now, here's a funny thing. In my 30s, I was at the top of my career. My background is in marketing and advertising. I worked in advertising. I got a master's degree. You know, I thought I was going to be the vice president of Pepsi. And my emotions and my inner self was like, no, you're not. Not until you deal with this. And I was like, I don't want to deal with it. He was like, okay. You don't want to deal with it? All right. So that's when I learned, if you don't deal with your emotions, if you don't deal with what you're feeling and what happened to you or whatever it is, even if it's a divorce or whatever it is, you're going to crash. That is going to catch up with you somehow. It's going to come out some way. So, yeah, I was crashing and I was functionally depressed, right? So again, I'm at the top of my career, got master's degree, got all these great jobs. But yeah.
Yeah.
When I get home, go back to the drinking, I was drinking every single day. Every single day. I didn't even realize it. One of my friends, I had 5 different bottles of alcohol. And over time, I just drank them. And my friend came over and was like, what happened to all the alcohol from that party? I was like, oh, I drank that. They was like, you drank it? I was like, that's what you're supposed to do with it, right? Drink it, but not like that.
Right.
So it got to a point that I started isolating. You know, I wasn't going outside, and I lived in Chicago on, near the lakefront by the Bears Stadium where the lake is, and Chicago summers are beautiful. And I was at home checking back half a gallon of ice cream, eating back all the unhealthiest things, because I didn't want to feel.
You didn't want to feel anything.
No, I didn't want to feel anything. So I did what my grandmother told me to do, and I went to church. Now, this is an unpopular opinion, so don't people out there in podcast land and video land don't come for me, but this is my opinion. I went to church on a regular basis looking for a feeling, looking for rescue. And that didn't help because I had to help myself. Nobody was coming to rescue me. I had to make a decision that I wanted to be happy and I wanted to be whatever freedom meant to me. And at that time, I didn't know that. I was looking for the church to help, right? And so it didn't. Right? I had to do the work. I started healing. And what do I mean by healing? I started taking accountability for how I feel. I started doing affirmations, and I teach people that I coach this, and I say this when I do lives and anywhere I speak. Affirmations saved my life. I did affirmations every single day. I would drive to work, listen to them. I'll go to bed with them plugged in my ears. And I saw myself morph into this different person because your brain doesn't know for right from wrong. You teach it what you want to know. We're born, when you hear as a baby, like babies don't know anything except for milk, food. We teach them what we want them to know. So once I did the affirmations and started understanding that anything is possible, because it is, and understanding I can have what I want, understanding that I didn't have to be a prisoner to the thing that happened to me. Right. It happened, it is the past, and that's where it's going to stay.
Your story is unfortunately so familiar in so many different communities across America. And first off, thank you for being so vulnerable. I really, really appreciate that because it takes a lot of courage and a lot of bravery to be able to do that. So to do that today, thank you so much. But yeah, 90% of children who are abused know their abuser. They know their family members, their friends of the family, their acquaintances within the neighborhood. It's a very familiar statistic because of that. Coupled with the fact that the experience that you have is exactly why I'm so honored to be a part of an organization like Childhelp. It actually is the organization that pioneered that multidisciplinary model of approach. So that, for example, here in Phoenix, right, you've got the largest child advocacy center in Phoenix operated by Childhelp that has Phoenix Children's Hospital with the largest child crimes unit of Phoenix PD, DCS, Office of Child, all working together as one team, so that when a child comes in, they're not coming into an intimidating police station. They're not coming into a cold, sterile hospital. They're not coming weeks and weeks after the incident has happened where evidence is lost, story variations may be perceived differently or changed. They're coming into an environment where they can disclose what happened to them one time and one time only. So they never have to be re-traumatized, which is what you unfortunately had to experience and so many other children have had to experience. And then that team of professionals can do their job, and you as a child, as the survivor, can move forward towards healing. I love that you brought forward what your grandmother told you about going to church, because absolutely. And I understand that feeling, of walking into a place and expecting, this is what I'm expecting to receive and wanting, because I want to feel differently. Just like when I pick up that bottle of vodka, I want to feel differently, right? I'm trying to find some way of coping with the emotion and the feelings that I have differently than the way that I have. As a believer myself, I am one that I don't think God is, this guy with a white beard sitting up on a cloud. I really believe what is written in 1 John, that God is love. And, anytime you see an act of love, that's the presence of God. That's why he always says, when two or more are gathered in my name, he is present. But it starts with love of self. And that's the very first and most important love that there is. And that's what I see in your story. I see a woman who took control of her story, took control of her life, fell in love for herself.
I had to. If I didn't, I can't love anybody if I don't love myself first.
Amen.
And so that's what I teach people that I coach too, or just in general when I have conversations with people. It's like, you have to fill your cup up first. Like, in order for me to do this, I have to continuously every day do what I need to do to fill up my cup. And that's whatever that means to each individual. So for me, my ritual every day is I generally either meditate, I journal, or I listen to different meditation frequencies, just to clear my brain and, set the precedent and the attention for my day. And I go forth that way. And love trumps everything.
Amen. It
trumps everything. So somebody asked me a question. They said, what would you do if you saw the guy who sexually assaulted you? I said, I don't know. I think it would be a familiar fear initially, but because I have love in myself and I know that I know my purpose now, and I understand that even with the trauma, that this was my journey.
It's so powerful how you talk about shifting now in your life, making a conscious effort to take your life back, to create the narrative for yourself that you want. And that is powerful. What is the difference to you that's important from saying you were a victim of sexual assault as a child to you are a survivor?
In my humble opinion, I was a survivor when I walked out that basement. It's just that started the process of the journey of me healing. It's just that I had to figure out how to do it because people I never knew, my grandmother never really talked to me about it because, I was under her care. So I'm pretty sure she felt some type of way. My uncle, by knowing this person, and my parents, I don't know. I never really talked to anybody about how they feel, but I do understand that it doesn't just affect the person that it happened to, it affects everybody around you. So I definitely feel like you have to choose you. You are the most important person. Being a survivor, life is like that, because everything that we do, anything I choose, I have to learn the lesson to get there. I could even say with a business owner is not for the faint-hearted. But I don't want to give it up, but it's times where I do. And so it's the same thing with emotions and feelings for trauma. You feel these things, but you have to learn how to deal with them. And it's just the same for everything. I don't think anything is separate. It's just life. And you have to go through life knowing that you take it day by day. I'm an overthinker. So I'm thinking about stuff I should have said to somebody 4 days ago. Then I'm also thinking about, what is my event going to look like in July? So my mind is constantly going, even in my sleep. I've asked questions in my sleep, okay? But the thing about it is I'm in the present. So right now, because I'm talking to you guys, I'm focused on this. Mm-hmm. I'm focused on what today is, because that's all you can do. You can take it day by day and just understand who you are, what you want, what makes you happy. Have fun. Life is not... Like I said, people choose the dark, right? Yep. And then those of us who choose the light. But you're here to create. You're here to be happy. So you have to find out what that means for you. And those things try to stop you from that, right? So you have to figure out, you have to get back on that trail and say, okay, this makes me happy. This makes me happy. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to do whatever it is, whether people think it's weird or not. So what? Go do it, because it fills you up. That's filling your cup up. Right. So being a victim and a survivor, I don't really look at myself being a victim, because that's how people stay in that state of feeling victimized.
Exactly right.
It's easy for people to say, I'm a victim, and stay in that pattern. And I was there at one point. I'd rather be happy, be free, and define who I am at every level, because I grow every day and I change. And so that's who I am.
Love that. I love that. And I love that when you came out of that basement, you told your uncle right away. I mean, that ability to be able to speak up. I don't know if he's going to believe me. I don't know what the ramifications are, but you spoke up, you said something, and that eventually got things moving in the trajectory of holding the person that offended accountable for their actions and allowing you to move forward with your healing. You didn't let the horror of yesterday and the horror of being in the darkness of a basement take away from the brightness of today and the brightness of your future. And that's beautiful.
Even listening to you guys say that, it's like I've heard other women who've had the same situations where their mother didn't believe them, or they chose, if it was a man that was in the house that they are with, they chose the man and not the child. And I think of how fortunate I am that my family believed me. They went out and found him, that he went to jail. And I didn't really understand that, because in my mind, I was checked out. Yep. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, and we hear that all the time, especially with what we want survivors to know, is find that safe adult and speak up. Mm-hmm. Find that safe person in your life and speak up, and be that safe person for somebody that does. Believe them and allow them to move forward in the healing journey possible.
It is so powerful that you are speaking up and that you're using your story to help so many others. So we so much appreciate you
it's my
coming
pleasure.
In today, sharing your love, your heart, your authenticity. Mm-hmm. So powerful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Malaun.
Thank you for having me. You guys are awesome.
We love having you here with us. Really appreciate it. And thanks to all of you for watching and listening to the Dare to Care Survivor Series podcast. I'm Carrie Pena alongside Michael Maduro. Thank you all so much. Take care.
Thanks for joining us on Childhelp's Dare to Care podcast. If you found some inspiration from this conversation, please leave a written review on Apple or Spotify. Subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Keep the conversation going with us on our YouTube channel in the comments.